Hey guys, what's up? I figured I would do an update on my EDC. Not because I particularly think that the EDC videos are interesting, but I have been getting a few comments. A lot of my friends know that I have recently started to attempt appendix carrying. It's almost been 2 weeks since I first got my appendix holster. It's going okay. I figured it'd just be easier to show it, show my stuff on body, because a lot of times people will do EDC videos and just lay it out on the table, and I've done the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but I figured it's easier to, you can visualize it if you can actually see it, and just trying to imagine how someone carries all the stuff that they do. So yeah, recently, I think 2 weekends ago, I guess it was, well, I guess about 10-12 days ago, whatever it is, alumni weekend was down at TAC Response, and Green Force Tactical was down there, and I picked up one of their Berkut II holsters for my Glock. It's an open-ended holster, so meant for the Glock 19, but I run a Glock 17, so it's fine. It sticks through. And also, Dave White was down there, and I always wanted to pick up one of his K-bar, TDI, and horizontal sheath combos. So I picked those two up. That's pretty much the only thing I bought while I was down there. But yeah, so I guess traditionally I've always kind of associated appendix carry with kind of the tactical hipster millennial dudes. Doesn't mean that if you do appendix carry that that you fit underneath those qualifications, but if you are one of those guys, they appendix carry. I mean, just look at Instagram, and I don't know, about 80% of the videos on YouTube. But I've been carrying a gun for, I guess, a little over 20 years, and I've always been a strong side hip guy. I'm right-handed, so I've always carried about around 4 o'clock. So for me, this has been a very weird transition. Like I said, I'm not quite in. Been doing it for 2 weeks. I just wanted to give it a try. I was always kind of curious about it. I do like some of the things that it has to offer. I like having the gun up here, being able to control it. For what it's worth, it does seem maybe slightly faster on the draw, but I don't know. I've never really had problems with 4 o'clock, but just mainly out of curiosity, I just wanted to try it. So I will say that I'm not quite sold on it. I am going to give it time. I'm gonna at least carry this way for 2 months, regardless if I love it or hate it. So far, I do find the issues, or the main issue with me, standing. I love it. Like standing, if you're upright, walking around, or even sitting in my recliner, or on the couch, it's super comfortable. I like having it where it is. One main thing I love is not having to have my belt cinched down super tight. You can, they actually encourage you to wear your belt a little bit loose, and it's much more comfortable as opposed to wearing it on your hip. Got to have it cinched down, especially with a bigger, heavier, full-size gun. But when it comes to being in the car, man, I kind of hate it. It's like I think I've pretty much found like the perfect crease where it's like the muzzle isn't resting on or pointing at your thigh and your femoral artery, and it's not necessarily like sweeping your junk or resting on your bladder, but on like your pubic bone. It's kind of in the middle, but I still find that it tends to rub up against there, and I'm having issues with it. Besides that, the fact that I've said to some of my friends, to me, it's almost psychologically crippling when you're in the car and you got your seatbelt on and it's pointed in one of those two directions. I remember having a real hard time getting over that, even though I know it's a well-made holster, and the complete trigger guard and everything is covered and it's not going to shift. Just knowing where it can point and where it can sway, it's still tough for me. So like I said, I'd say I'm about 70% sold on appendix, but not 100%. And in the end of a couple of months, if I find that I just can't get over that, or I don't like it, then I don't know. Looks like I'll go back to 4 o'clock carry. But for now, I'm trying it. But anyway, along with that, I figured I would, like I said, I would do an update and kind of show the few things I've added or changed and where and how I carry them, so it's easier for people to to see, to visualize. But yeah, so yeah, I guess we'll go with the main part. Still rocking the SOE low profile belt. I think I've had this thing for 2 years now. It's still the best, most durable, most supportive belt that I've ever ran. If you guys want, if there's any questions, I can do a dedicated video on this Berkut II from Green Force Tactical. But essentially what it is, as you can see there hopefully, it's the open bottom holster. It has like this plate and it swivels, and you can adjust the ride height. You've got 1, 2, 3 actual holes drilled into the Kydex, and you put it where you want. I have it on the very bottom hole, so it makes the gun ride higher, so I can easier to get a a full grip on it for me. But essentially you have this plate here that you adjust to your tension setting, and it lets the gun kind of move with your body. Depending on how chubby you are. I used to be thin and not so much anymore in the gut area, so I do like that. It's not in a fixed locked position. Excuse me. Of course, with the dual straps. And if you can see here, you notice how this part flares out. A lot of guys will kind of ghettoize their Appendix rigs, and I don't see a problem with that, but they'll put like a Dr. Scholl's or insert, sole insert, or a piece of foam there. Basically it's called like a dick bump or a dick wedge, and what it does is that it helps push the gun out this way, so it stays a little bit firmer into your abdomen as opposed to flexing outward and printing. So that's essentially the holster. Yeah, I got it in a pretty cool red and black, I guess, snake skin pattern. Kind of neat. Yeah, so this holster was like a joint project between Christian Green of Green Force and Sonny Pazikis. So this is the only holster I've tried Appendix that is actually comfortable. So I'm still rocking the Glock 17 3rd Gen with the Spalding Ameriglow cap sights. Carry an extra mag. Now that it's summer, I'm pretty much usually wearing these cargo shorts. So they've got these nice handy dandy pockets up front that just are pretty much the exact size to fit a spare Glock 17 mag. Carried in there, like I said before. Still rocking the SOE low profile belt. The other thing I got while I was down in Tennessee was, like I said before, the TDI K-bar knife. I've never carried a fixed blade, and if you listen to any guys who train or take classes with, I guess hand-to-hand combat and stuff like that, they always say a fixed blade is always going to trump a folder. It's just stronger and faster. So I got this one, and I keep it kind of right there. It's a really small blade. It's super sharp, but I think it's only maybe about a 2-inch blade. But it's basically a get the fuck off me kind of knife. And you can use it. I guess you'd call it ambidextrous. I keep it over here because I've always heard that if you want to, like any kind of fighting knife, you want it on your off side. So since I'm right-handed, if your right hand is free, you better be going for your gun. But if you can't, you need to get someone off you. But the way it's set up is that even though it favors the left-hand side, it's also easy to grab with your right hand. So I got it with the Dave White NSR custom sheath, which is pretty good, and it's the only form of Kydex or holster that I think is acceptable with a clip, because it's so light, and the way it sits, I don't see it coming undone or coming out. Which, as I've always mentioned before, I'm always going to run loops on the holster, because I've seen it 1,000 times. Guys go to draw their gun and they have clips or J-hooks or whatever, and as they pull their gun, the whole damn holster comes out too. I don't foresee that being a problem with this, based on the fact that it's a horizontal draw and it fits really snug. So I got that. Pretty cool. Still carrying the Spyderco, just basic pocket knife. I really don't remember what this is called. Endura something with the wave hook there, the Emerson. Basically just a utility knife. Pretty good knife so far. I've had it for a while. This I've had for a few years. This I'm going to probably be changing and updating. This is kind of an old school. I think I got this maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's a Streamlight ProTac HL. It's a good light. It served me well. I think it's a 650 lumen model, but the bezel, like technology has gotten better. Bezels don't need to be this big and fat anymore, and it's kind of uncomfortable to carry. I still carry it. It's got a decent amount of wear on it. It's been banged around and dropped quite a few times. I've used it in a low light class. It's done well, but I think I'm going to upgrade it, make this just like a bed stand light, and get something with the smaller, maybe same amount, maybe more lumens, but with a smaller head. And still carrying medical, maybe probably not as much as I should. I still carry the TK4, and in all my vehicles I got RATS tourniquets. One thing I am going to start carrying is, I don't know, some kind of pressure bandage, an H bandage or an Israeli bandage. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to get online and order some this weekend. So everyone that I'm around will have one, and both my cars will have one. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll shift the camera on the table, so if you guys want, you can get like a closer look of what I run. But I kind of wanted to film it this way so you can see essentially how I carry and where I carry, and that it's I guess it's a decent amount of stuff, but it doesn't really weigh you down, and it's pretty simple to do. So we'll go ahead and switch camera angles. Alright guys, so we're back. That's it. Like I said, still running the Glock 17 with the cap sights. I've ran this through a couple of classes now, Dave Spalding classes, and it's been great, even with the aftermarket trigger. I guess that's pretty much it. Just kind of laying things out so you can see everything. I guess as far as whenever like I wear jeans or like regular pants, I still use this cheap kind of ghetto DeSantis mag pouch. Excuse me, yeah, mag carrier that goes up like in your front pocket. But with like the kind of pants or kind of cargo shorts and stuff I wear, don't really need it. I got these pockets up front. So that's it. So I guess to some people that's going to be considered a lot, or to some maybe not enough, but that's kind of what's working with me. Like I said, I'm not 1,000% sold on Appendix. And my opinion is no reflection whatsoever based on the holster, because the holster is awesome. It really is comfortable. And this is coming from someone who used to hate Appendix and the thought of Appendix, but super comfortable, super adjustable. You can make your straps come out for bigger belts. Again, you've got like the 3 holes in the Kydex with the swivel plate. You can make it like ride lower, ride high, ride higher. You got the dick bump there to help it push the gun in. You have the open end, so God, if you wanted to carry a Glock 34, you could. I know guys that do. So, but it's generally made for a Glock 19, but the Glock 17 fits in it perfectly. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going with now. I guess the evolution, or so to speak, of my carry. But things are always changing, and I'm not going to necessarily just get myopic or settle on one thing. And if this does end up sucking for me, or if I can't get over the whole riding in the car thing, I will go back to my India, Green Force Tactical India inside the waistband holster, and go back to carrying on my right hip. But that's it for now. Hope you guys are doing well. Take it easy.